Hello everyone, good morning. Just putting on my apron. Happy Saturday. Hope you're all well. I know some of you might be watching this later on and that's absolutely fine. So I'm just hoping that we can all have a little bit of creative fun together. And I know some of you, hello, I know some of you are joining with children and family members. Some of you are just painting and some of you are watching. And that's fantastic. It's great that we're all joined together to paint. Oh, just realized I didn't put my mic on. 1 second, let me figure this out. Hello everyone, you're all welcome. Let me get this on here. Let me just put this out here 1 second. Hear me better. Hi everyone. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it as well. Great to see you all here. Isn't it great? We're all painting together and it's a gorgeous day. So hopefully after this we'll be full of the joys of Easter and go to have some fun. Hi everyone. So I'm just going to show you what I have and then we'll get started. So let me turn this around here. Okay. So, oh no, it's still on me. So I have a paper. I've gone for a larger page this time. People ask about the masking tape. Really, these are ones I picked up in a DIY shop. They're different sizes. The purple ones I think are easier to remove afterwards, but it actually doesn't matter because with paper, you don't leave it on that long. Anyway, once it's dry, tonight you can remove the tape. If you don't have tape, that's fine too. I'm going to tape this on in a minute. I just like removing the border. I'm just going to show you the one I did with you last week. So you can see that's with the border removed, and I just like that, and it means you can always sign it if you want to mount it or something, but it's not necessary. If you don't have tape, that's fine. If you've got canvas, I've sketched in old books. So what I also have, I have these graphite sticks. That's what they look like. They're like charcoal sticks. I like them for making marks. I have this catalyst wedge, an old credit card or hotel card would work just as well. I have these ink blocks, and that's what they look like. I have these, people asking about these are oil pastels. They're like crayons. Again, none of these are necessary, it's whatever you have. I have a few inks, yellow, pink and blue. And these are some jam jars of paint. I just put the lids on them from last week and they're still fine. They're absolutely perfect. So if you're joining for the first time, if you have a jam jar, I have loads of these Dalmia ones from Pastels. You just throw in a bit of paint, a bit of water, give it a squish around and you can use it. I have a spray gun, an old household cleaner full of water, and I have a jug of water, and I have these disposable, beautiful disposable forks and spoons. I just love the way they've got coated with acrylic paint. I think they look like a sculpture, and I love the randomness, the marks they make, the freedom of not working with brushes. 'Cause I think when we work with brushes, we try and do something perfect, whereas this, you're just flicking and scooping and doing different things. So that's what I have, and I'm just going to switch you now to overhead. Just say hi. Hi again, everyone. I'm just going to switch you to overhead, and hopefully you'll be able to see me. And I won't be able to see any comments or any questions. So what I'll do is I'll put up a question box at the end, and if you have any questions about materials, but you know, this is what I have. And what somebody said is that they're painting and they're not following me. It's not a class. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about having a little bit of expressive fun, about playing with paint on a Saturday morning, and whatever you have is fine. It really, this is just what the materials I have to hand, and I suppose going with the colours that I've seen, particularly the cherry blossoms. See, there's kind of pinks and whites. There's great blue skies we have at the moment, and whites and green, young green leaves. They're the colours that I'm drawn to at the moment. Well, whatever colours you have, whatever colours you like, they're the right ones for you. You know, even if we all had exactly the same paint and exactly the same material, we would paint completely different paintings because we're different people. So that's what it's about. It's about tuning into your inner expressiveness, the kind of marks you made as a child, the way you like to paint as a child, that kind of intuition, just reaching for the next colour. So you just go your gut feeling, what you think you'd like to do next, what mark you'd like to make, what tool you'd like to make, and that's right for you. So I'm just going to move you to overhead, and hopefully it'll be pointed in the right direction. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. Can you see okay? Hopefully you can see okay. I think that's good. I think you can see the whole page. Right, so let's get started. Also I have kitchen roll, which is great for mopping up if it gets too wet, and also to use like a tool to make marks. So I am going to tape this down with this tape. Actually, I'm going to go for the wider border one. So if you have tape, you can apply it now to your page. I apply it exactly to the width because that gives you an even border. And again, whatever tape you have it also stops it moving around. I use a lot of water. People ask me what kind of paper this is. This is just do I have the page there? It's this acrylic paper. It's an acrylic pad. So that's the weight, 300 grams. But you know, I've painted with other paper, anything at all. I've done demos inside old books, a sketchbook, anything. Canvas. I was doing some canvas last night. So whatever you have. It's just about having a little bit of fun. There's something working about paper because it feels, it's less precious than canvas. So this is, think of this as like a warm-up sketch to get my creative juices going. And if it doesn't turn out that great, you haven't lost anything. It's not about trying to make something perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty much taped down here. I love removing the tape at the end. It is so satisfying. I don't know if any of you did that. It's just very pleasurable. Okay. So I think that's in the frame. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to start off by spraying my page, getting it nice and wet. I'm really enjoying working wet at the moment. Excuse me. If you don't have a spray gun, you can just get the jug of water and flick it with your fingers. And I'm now going to put on my gloves because I'm so messy, and I find that helps me to see, or to just make it easier. The cleanup is easier. I'm also wearing an apron, and I tend to wipe the excess paint onto the floor. So I just put some newspaper on the floor, but I'm sure you're not all as messy as I am. So I'm going to start by just reaching for making marks. Oh yes, to show you the jam jar method. So if you're joining for the first time, just get a jam jar, and I'm going to go for a little bit of pink. Squeeze a little bit of pink in. Oh, that's an opera rose. I'm working with acrylic paints because they're water-based, and then I'm just adding some water, not measuring, it's just about what feels right. I'm getting a spoon. And those are all stuck together, and I'm just going to give it a little stir. If you can also put your lid on it and give it a shake. Something about it, it reminds me of being a child working with jam jars and paint and water. So I'm just going to let that sit there. If you can see that. So if you have, and then the great thing about this, you put your lid on it and it'll keep, whereas normally acrylic paint dries out very quickly. But this means we can work with it for longer. So I'm going to start by making marks with these little pastel crayons. Something I remember getting Crayola sets, and each time I'm dipping it into the jug of water just to wet it, though the page is quite wet, so it might be necessary. something about working. I used to love getting Crayola crayons for Christmas. Remember, oh my God, it was a huge thing, the new set of crayons. And then you'd be so envious of people who had the really, really big box. I just love how that is blurring in the water now. I love that. And I'm just making random marks. I'm not really thinking. I'm just enjoying the movement of the crayon and how the pigment is dissolving in the water. So these layers are all going to get covered up, so it doesn't really matter. But then sometimes when you scrape away, you'll see the layers underneath. I think I'm going to go for a lovely green, a bright green, because these are all the colours I'm seeing at the moment. Those young leaves and the beautiful cherry blossoms. Oh my God, they're so gorgeous at the moment. I think, if you go for the colours that are in nature, it works, because those colours are so harmonious. So I'm really going with these three colours today. The kind of blue sky, the pink cherry blossom, and the green leaves. That's maybe some white, because of the white cherry blossoms. That's my starting point. So starting an abstract painting, really, I think it's about, for me anyway, it's about getting over the empty page, a bit like a writer, the fear of the empty page. I'm now switching to the ink sticks, and each time I'm going to dip it into water just to wet it, because the page will be drying. So this is much more, the pigment is stronger. It's like it's ink in a stick, and you can go this way, widthways. That's beautiful, isn't it? Out of that mark, and you can see the thinner lines coming through. Or you can go thin way. Again, if you're working with paint, whatever you have is absolutely fine. So I'm really just making marks, and I'm chatting to you, I'm not really thinking too much. I'm just enjoying playing with colour, making marks on a Saturday morning. The great thing about this is that, this makes me accountable. This makes me paint as well. Whereas normally I'd be faffing around and checking emails and tidying, and it would take me hours to get up to the studio, whereas having a date, I'm just using my fingers now to blend, because this is very wet, rolling it. And I'm going to wet the page a bit more, just see what happens. So by wetting it, the ink is blurring a bit more. Now I'm going to move into some ink. Or you could start splattering paint. Oh, I like that. I like the blue blending into that pink. So if you do something that you like, I suppose this is where you're observing, you're playing with paint, but you're also watching what you do. So one part of you is just making, I suppose, random marks and decisions, but the other part of you is going, oh, I like that. And then whatever you like, whatever gives you that feeling of, oh, I love it, try and, I suppose, remember that. That's, I suppose, we're working intuitively, but we're also making lots and lots of decisions. And I suppose that's how, I suppose, you build up a knowledge of what you like and what excites you and what's right for you. And you just do, well, that's what I do anyway. Oh, that's a bit too red, I think. Is this red too? I had a pink ink, but I'm not sure where it's gone. A lot of your time in the studio is spent looking for things, actually. I had a gorgeous pink ink, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, here it is. It's actually a fluorescent, I think. I think I bought it by mistake, but oh, I love it. I love that bleeding into the blue. So again, this is just the initial layers. I love that stripe down the center with a graphite stick. I just dip in the graphite stick again and see what happens if I do. Oh no, that was with the ink stick. I haven't used these guys at all. So the graphite sticks give much rougher marks, and they're less controlled. They're great for these initial layers. Just tracing out. The good thing I've been enjoying are those little tiny baby ferns on coiling, and those kind of circular shapes the ferns make, and they kind of remind me of starfish sometimes. And then the other thing to think about is you can be really close to the page and make little marks, or you can be really far away and the marks be very, very different. Okay, I think it's time to get some paint on. I'm just going to spray that with water again where the ink is to let it dissolve a bit more. Oh yes, I love things blurring and blending, and that's looking great. You can see now the page is buckling already. It's so wet. If it's too wet, mop it up with a bit of kitchen paper. So I am going to go in with some of the paint we mixed. Give it a stir, give it a flick. Just seeing what happens. And I'm going to go for some blue. So it's just a small enough palette actually. Ooh. And I'm using my tool to make marks that's gone very blue. I might see what happens when I put the ink over this. It kind of disappears. And then you can use your fork or to blend and to blur. It's gone very purpley. It's so different now. You're just playing really. Reaching for different things. You can go back in with your sticks, your inks. If you don't like something, just put a bit of kitchen paper. You can either roll or you can throw your kitchen paper over it, just mopping up some water. And then what happens when you do that is you go back to sort of the layers underneath. It's just too lilac-y for me. It's not but it's nice, that blurry effect. It's about getting, now I have an initial layer. I can work with this layer now. I think I can do more. I'm going to go for a green. So people were saying, what am I mixing? It's just water and paint. Oh, now I love that. The flick, the wrist action, the kind of spatter effect is, oh yeah, I love how the bright green now is sitting on top. It's sort of reminding me of leaves and sunlight and those early leaves. Like that. So I'll do some. God, the only problem with working with these spoons and sticks is they stick together so much it's hard to work one-handed. Oh, it's a bit thicker. That's why I didn't add as much water to. So I'm just using my spoon here to move it around. And if yours is getting too dry, just spray with water. These are high flow acrylics, golden. So they're already mixed up for me, so it kind of makes them easy to work with. They're a bit like ready mixed in a jam jar, I suppose. Oh yes, now that I love. Ooh. And here it's gone dry at this side, so I'm just going to. Something so much fun about spraying water and seeing what happens, and the difference when you work with the the page is wet and then you drop in something. I love this, the way the blue is feathering across that green layer. And something else to this side. So there's a difference if you wet the page and then apply paint, or if you apply the paint and then wet the page afterwards. There's a different effect. I really enjoyed seeing all the work you shared with me afterwards. It was really, really nice. Oh, so now we're building a layer here. It's getting really interesting and intricate. I've lost some of that earlier green I put down, so I'm going to put some more down. But this is the stage now when you've got so much paint that if you keep blending paint, if you remember from primary school, everything turns to brown. So if things start turning to brown, what you can do is you can either scrape it off with you know, a fork or a spoon or kitchen paper, and that just reveals a layer underneath. Or you can use some kitchen paper to mop it up. So here the green and the purple is blending a little bit too much, so it's just going to go muddy. And this is where I suppose I know from working with experience what happens. Some colours, they're fantastic, they contrast beautifully together, but I don't want a brown painting. I'm looking for those vibrant, you can use this as a tool as well to move paint around. Anything can be a tool. I'm always, you know, picking up things from DIY shops, kitchen shops, tools that are not, I hardly ever use brushes actually, though I love those really big brushes, the brushes that builders would use. So I'll try some more of this fluorescent. Now my page is getting so wet and so full now. Oh yeah. The marks in the ink are much smaller. And then if you find it's getting too dark, if you've got some white paint, just throw a little bit of white paint on top. This one is. So you just keep building and layering, adding more. And then you maybe stop and see what you like. Love the blue and green down here. I think I need a bit more, maybe a bit more paint. Working this way with a page that's so wet, could only really, what I often do is I work on several pieces at the same time. Oh, I like that drippy effect there. Because this is really thick. This paint is very thick. I didn't dilute it very much. I actually just put it into the actual paint container. So it's not, it's sort of sitting on top. Which actually kind of reminds me of Petals a little bit. So I'm actually in a stage where I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. Almost, I think maybe just a bit, I just need to unify these two sides a little bit. It's a bit blue down here, a bit pink up here. So maybe if I add more blue up at the top. But as I was saying, I often work on several pieces at the same time. And that allows me to keep working, you know, with this sort of way. I might have work on two at a time, and I could leave this dry now and add more to something, another one, and just let it sit. So if you're at home and you've got plenty of space, you could certainly be, actually many of you did work on several pieces at the same time. And I think that green, that lovely green, thinking of those green leaves, oh no, that is getting very, very mucky up there now. It's so wet. Quick little bit of surgery here. So sometimes when you scrape things off, actually that's interesting, it gives you a different effect. Or you can just get your whatever kind of tool you have to scrape and remove, and that is interesting. What happens if I move this paint over it, the kind of thicker paint? What I like working with you is I'm discovering new ways of working as well. It's all about experimenting and playing and finding. If you have masking tape, go right to the edge. Paint over the masking tape. Include the masking tape in your work. I think that thick paint, actually, I liked it. I'm going to do more. Oh, it's getting... I'm probably at the upper limits almost of what I can do now here. It's kind of going a bit muddy for me. Interesting things happening though. I'm just going to clean my... So this is a catalyst wedged. Another thing I use actually is a wallpaper scraper. Oh, that's interesting. Working slowly now. So sometimes I work really fast, and then towards the end I start working slowly so I can see what I'm doing, because the page is so wet. But there's interesting things happening here in the middle. I'm not sure how it's going to dry. Bit of mopping here, a little bit of surgery. It's a bit, I don't know. So I'm going to reach for some more white just to cover up where it's getting a little bit too dark. I like this bottom part better, I must say. Now, when I really don't like something, I think it's about working kind of decisively then and just really scraping off fast. Oh, getting very muddy. So I am going to just... I'm actually going back to the earlier layers now here. And so part of the process is adding and part of the process is removing, a little bit like, I always think of it like archaeology. And now just wetting it again. Of course, if you're working on canvas, you can stand a lot more water. So I'm just using this kind of messy earlier layer as like a background. I need green. So the green with the pink is not working well, but it's working better sitting over the vibrant pink. But what I do like now is this is very messy. I didn't like it. I scraped it all off. I added more paints and look at the way it's all blurred underneath. I'm kind of liking this now, I think, though it still looks to me like two different paintings in a way. So I'm at the point now where I'm just deciding when to stop. Maybe if I just add a touch of that kind of darker pink down here, that might just unify these two sides a little bit. Maybe not. So I'm just building up layers, adding one thing on top of the other. Don't like that. There, I'm just gonna scrape that off. Now I've actually lost my masking tape edges completely here. And I am going to add some green first because I liked that green and I've lost that earlier green. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this kind of heavier pink that I didn't dilute so much on top. Now it's beginning to work a little bit for me now again. So what I was feeling is that the two sides were too different. And by adding that little kind of pink splatter, I think it's more unified now. I think I'm going to have to stop because it's so wet. It's so messy. I've gone over my edges. So let me just take you off the camera and have a little chat, and hopefully you're all still here. So hopefully that was fun, and I hope you all enjoy that. I'm just going to show you close up what I did. So this is what it looked like for me. You can see I went right over the edge here as I've lost my line. It is so so much paint. Things I like where I scraped off where it was going all wrong and muddy. So this is something you can do if it's kind of a bit of a disaster. Just wipe it off, scrape it off, and then I added more water and I added more pink, and that's adding a little I suppose it's given a top layer, and all those underneath layers can still be seen, and that's quite interesting. The thicker pink worked out quite well because it sat on top, and I love that light green here. Are working quite well. We'll see how it dries. It's amazing. It's so different to the one I did last week, which I'll just show you again. So different, isn't it? Probably the same colors. It's amazing how you can make completely different marks. It's a different page, bigger page as well. Thank you so much. So what I used my Caran d'Ache pencils, these graphite sticks, the ink sticks, these inks. I used my forks and spoons, these jam jars, a jug of water, a spray gun, and this catalyst wedge, some golden mixed acrylics. I used a lot of kitchen roll, and that's that. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely weekend and maybe do some more painting. If you want to send me pictures of what you did, I'd love to see what you did. Love the fact that you call my dog Bowie. Yeah, Bowie and Doris. Well, Doris was her name when we got her from the rescue centre, but Bowie, yeah, we're huge Bowie fans here, and it suits him, suits his personality. So hope you all enjoyed that, and thank you very much for saying you're a fan of my art. But you know, as I'm sharing here is I work a lot in oils, but this is kind of like a experimental sketch, I suppose, and it gets me thinking about colors and processing things. Everything I'm doing here is going to help me with my painting as well. So thank you so much for joining with me. I'm wishing you all a lovely weekend and lots of creativity, and let's do it again next weekend, maybe Sunday. You can let me know what suits you best, but thank you for joining me today, and have a lovely weekend. Bye.